calls this under fractions recognizing halves. Okay. And I suppose before we talk about how to recognize a half, how do we know if a fraction is the same as 1/2? And then, well, obviously, we always seem to talk about pizzas just because it seems to be the thing to talk about. Okay? If you eat 1/2 of a pizza, okay, that means you've done that, right? This means 1/2. Okay? But when you get a pizza from Jan Fair Pizzeria, they usually don't cut it just into two big old pieces like this. Okay? For example, quite often a pizza place cuts their pizza into 8s. Now, just because you cut your pizza into 8s, does that mean you can't eat half of it because it's not cut into two pieces? No, it doesn't. If you were to eat half of a pizza that was cut into 8 pieces, how many pieces would you have to eat of those 8 pieces to get a half there, Maggie?
4.
Right. So we know that 4 8s, let me do a little shading here. We know that eating 4 of the 8 pieces is the same as 1/2. As a matter of fact, there are an infinite amount of fractions that mean the same as 1/2. You know, if you went there and your poor pizza place scissors broke and they only cut your pizza into quarters, how many quarters does it take to make a half? Or quarters and a half an hour, Madison?
2.
2/4. So all of these mean exactly the same thing. So looking at these 3 fractions there, how do you know if a fraction is the same as 1/2? For example, if my pizza was cut into 50 smaller pieces, if by some chance, you know, somebody got a little crazy with their pizza and cut it into 50 slices, your pizza was cut into 50 slices, which would be your bottom number. How many of those slices would you have to eat to be the same as a half, Sammy?
25.
25. So what is the rule for a fraction for it to be the same as a half? How are the top number and the bottom number related in order for them to be the same as 1/2? For example, well, what if my top number was 10? In order to have a top number of 10 and make my fraction be the same as 1/2, in other words, if you ate 10 pieces and you ate half the pizza, how many pieces must have come with the pizza? Caleb?
20.
20. 10/20 is the same as 1/2. 25/50 is the same as half. 1/2, 4/8, 2/4. What about 18? Somebody cut your pizza into 18 pieces. Fraction that's the same as a half there. Landon is
9.
9. So what's the rule here that we can follow? If the top number is what regard? If the top number is twice the bottom, or if the bottom number is twice the top, or if the top number would have to be half of the bottom, right? Right, so no matter what, these are all equal. You know, if I had a 8 here, this would have to be 4. If I had a 16, the top would have to be 8. Okay. Now, with that being said, okay, we can tell how do numbers compare to 1/2. In other words, this, if I have 7/10, if I have 7/10, would that fraction, Cameron, be bigger than 1/2 or less than 1/2? And then how do you know? How would you know if that's bigger or less than 1/2? Alex, it is.
It's more than half.
And how do you know?
10 divided by 2 equals 5.
Okay.
7 is 2/2.
Exactly, because in order to have a 10 on the bottom and be the same as 1/2, it has to be 5.
Yeah.
So if it's more than that, then it has to be bigger than 1/2. If you ate 7 out of 10 pieces of a pizza, you ate more than half of it, right? Because the book will throw this at you. well, maybe they won't. But yeah, they'll do something like this. They'll have you compare 5/8 to 5/12. Which one is bigger and how do you know? Well, what you want to do is think about how do they compare to 1/2. Is 5/8 going to be bigger than 1/2 or less than 1/2? How do you know it's more? Because if it was a 4/8, it would be 1/2. So this one's bigger than 1/2. Is 5/12 bigger or less than 1/2? Why? Because half would be how many 12s? 6/12, so this is less. So if this is bigger than 1/2 and this is less than 1/2, 5/8 has to be bigger because this means you ate more than half a pizza, that means you ate less than half a pizza, and that is bigger there. Do you kind of get that?
Yeah.
So you have to be able to look at a fraction and automatically see, you know, which one's bigger, which one's smaller. How about 10/25? Bigger or smaller than 1/2? That one's a little tougher because what's half of 25? 10/25, would that be more? If you ate 10 out of 25 pizzas, did you eat more than half a pizza or less than half a pizza? Sammy?
Less.
Why?
Because half of 25 is 12.5.
Okay, you know it's at least 12, and since 10 is less than 12, this has to be less than 1/2. So if you think about it in terms of eating pizza, I think you'll probably do okay. Perfect. That pretty much is the whole spiel